Hello everyone, my name is Hecthor Doomhammer, I'm your evil overlord, and welcome back to Prison Architect, my all-female prison season 2, Lakeside Ladies. But before we get into that, in this episode I want to talk about pretty much the entire playthrough itself. And for that I'm gonna have to go back to the prison that I built for season 1. Because this was the prison that I built for season 1. At the end, as you can see, we ended off at day 73 with a prison of 500 plus capacity, gangs, events, and weather enabled. The original plan that I had for female season 2 was to rebuild this prison, this exact prison, in unlimited money mode. I went as far during the actual playthrough at some points in my own time is that I did all of the planning in unlimited money mode. Just planned out everything, including the little buildings here and there, and including the placement of the water boilers. And somebody in the YouTube comments during the playthrough of the season 1 actually requested this, and I planned ahead, yes, all pun intended, because I already wanted to do this. So I actually had this done before the guy requested the planning, so I was able to send it to him. But then I actually was building it. No wait, this is an earlier stage of the original playthrough where I didn't have unlimited money. Oops! But I was actually building it after I was done with season 1, somewhere while I was in the works of recording the campaign. I quickly came to the discovery that the prison that you saw, that this prison, what cost me over $2.7 million to build. Also, I want to quickly show you, the value is $2.210 million. So if I were to sell this, I could actually start a new prison with this much of an advantage. But I'd still end up in the red because of all the... Wait, did I get the... Yes, I did get those in. This was actually saved for the Steam Workshop, as well as the bonus videos that I did with the perimeter wall. That's why this is so high. But I was almost done building it. I believe that I was just missing the family cells in this block. Already $2.7 million. And I was thinking, like, the original idea that I had was to rebuild it, and then through the grants and intake of prisoners, I would see how long it would take me to pay off all of the debt. Because if you play in unlimited money mode, you go in debt. This will be red. And there is, under normal circumstances, if you don't use unlimited money mode, there is actually a game over event that only spawns once you go too deep into the red in bank balance, as well as daily cash flow, where there's basically no saving your prison or just letting it run. So in unlimited money mode that doesn't happen, and I was thinking to myself, well, 2.7 million. I did all of the grants at the time, and I was just like, okay, so you only get around $500,000 in terms of grants. Yeah. And that was just without the prisoners. So maybe there's like 600, well, maybe 500,000, 550,000 for grants. That doesn't involve prisoners. Well, of course, the foundation education, reform through education, and carpentry apprenticeship, and the prison manufacturing facility, I didn't calculate those in. But I did do the government bailout one. So maybe up to 600,000 that you can get back through grants. That's nice and all. But what about the rest? I would still be well over $2 million into the red. And even going full on maximum security prisoners, and even with the way that this playthrough went, where the women just couldn't keep each other alive, it would still take way too long to basically get out of the red. And I just didn't want to go through that. I didn't want to put you guys through that. As well as I don't like to do the same thing twice in Prison Architect. I like Prison Architect sandbox mode because there's always a different idea, a different concept, a different layout that you could try out. And there is a mosquito here, and that's going to annoy me the hell. I hate mosquitoes. Especially that this year my blood seems to be very delicious. So yeah. After I was done with this prison, and after the realization, like, okay, there's no way in hell that I will subject myself nor you guys to possibly a 200+ day playthrough of rebuilding this and just letting it run, because that's basically all that I would do, just let it run. I decided that I would do something else. So I'm gonna do this as an example, so I'm just gonna keep it 2 male prisoners and the regular warden. I was thinking on buildings, and this is what happens. Or let's take a large map, for instance, and generate buildings. There we go. This is a little bit better of a example. So you'll just end up with ruins of other buildings. Maybe a city was here at some point that is completely deserted and broken down. Maybe this used to be a part of an old prison, but you can do a challenge where you can say like, okay, I'm gonna use these buildings and build off of them. But I know myself, I would just say, screw that, bulldoze everything. And then my workman would get to work, and it would just be wasting a little bit of extra time to get rid of all the buildings, and there's no fun in that. Now, for my second season of the female prison, I was thinking on lakes, but as you can see, generating lakes is completely random as well. So this would just spawn a little lake over there. Let's try it again. Lakes. Just some water at the top. So what I eventually got to do was generate around 10 maps and just look at how is the lakes, how are the lakes set. Now I could like do a very small prison over here for like the offices, security, kennel, armory, and maybe a little detention center for protective custody. But I would have to buy land like really quick down here and up there. And I actually had a map, and I hope that I can get something similar. No. That's similar to what I had for the all-female prison season 2. No. Just go on. No. I actually had a map. Here. Wait, did I? I don't think I generated lakes in this one. Oops. But even so, if I did generate lakes, it's a possibility that you don't get lakes at all. But if I don't get it through here, no. Well, basically happens, as I also get this notebook page. Thank you very much. Thank you. What basically happens in one map is that I had a bit of a river directly over here. And I would just have a little bit of land in on the left. I would have a little bit of land down here in the right. It would actually go over here as well, the river. And I thought to myself, like, hey, I could use that bit of land over here for the offices, for security, the kennel, the armory, and such. And maybe, like, make a little detention camp for protective custody. And then buy lots of land on that side of the road. And build my prison there. I was actually already working on it when I came to the decision that, no, I didn't want that. I wanted to do lakes, but have more land on the left side of the road to start out with. And that is where this came to be. Now, if you hopefully have been watching the entire series, you will know that I kind of started out with this plot of land, currently highlighted here, where there was a nice big lake close to the road, but I still had plenty of room to build to the left of that. And especially when I saw this little peninsula up here, I immediately knew that I wanted death row there. So that was one of the main reasons why I went with this map. And in the early stages, as I was playing this, it was pretty much a blind playthrough. I had no idea how the expansions would evolve, how they would look. I knew that down here there would be a lot of water, but I didn't know there would be water over here. I wouldn't know that there would be a little bit of water here or there, and that there would be absolutely no water on this side. I'll be honest, I was lucky with that. But after I decided to go with this plot of land, with this map, and I laid out the planning, I just knew that I had a fun build to look forward to. That I could basically put everything that I wanted in here for one level of security, and then I would expand in all directions. I pretty much had that in mind right away, that I wanted to expand in all directions, including this side of the road, to see how the map would evolve and generate, and if I could place all of the levels of security in. And well, with the first expansion, when things were going really fast early on, with the completion of both manufacturing grants in the workshop, and I see that lots of people were doing the work in here, in this area, and that they wanted to work in the kitchen and wanted to work in the workshop, and a little bit in the classroom. I was just like, okay, this is definitely a reform-focused playthrough, as a guard goes there. So I'm actually just gonna let it run in high speed. And I actually, in between the last episode and this episode, I skipped ahead a couple of days, because I originally had this episode recorded already, but I was in such a hurry because I had to get to work that I really wasn't happy with the way that I explained things. So I just decided, like, I'll keep the progress in terms of time and just re-record it. So, second block of land, the first block that I bought was around this big, and I saw an opportunity to get medium security in here entirely, and this would be a perfect spot for the offices, security, kennel and armory, or at least one of them. And of course we had gangs. So in terms of gangs, now that I'm talking about gangs, I'm quickly going to talk about that. I want Mayor Calvin, what is it this time? Incident at another facility highlighted potential issues with the security checks when it comes to visitation in prisons. Until the process can be properly reviewed, all visitation must be suspended. You have 12 hours to remove all visitation rooms from your prison. Right. I'm gonna do this for you guys. There is a way to quickly get this done. And all you really need to do is go into rooms, find your visitation rooms, and just remove them like that. Which means that it's that room. Over here, there are 4 of them. Here, 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 and here. Then there is a visitation room. Wait, here. It was like, I was sure I had visitation down here. So that's Supermax, minimum, medium. There's visitation right here. And maximum. And done. So yeah, for 94 hours you need to have no visitation whatsoever. And after that you can put it back in. But yeah, I started out immediately with gangs, events, and weather. Now I went with weather because I knew that during heavy rain, and we have seen this eventually in episodes, let me quickly check, 27, we saw that, well, lakes will flood in heavy rain, and if you have your power stations outdoors or out a door where it could flood, bad stuff happens. But it happened twice in this playthrough. But that's exactly the reason why I wanted to have lakes as well, because I wanted to show that now that there's weather involved, heavy rain involved, lakes become more dangerous than ever. And don't bother with don't mind the flood over here and over on the road. There's no danger there because the trucks will just keep on going. So that proved the challenge, and that put me into a bit of trouble, but I think that was still entertaining and informative. And of course the events, once you get 50 prisoners, events start happening. We just had one of those events, and we had gangs. We actually were fortunate enough to get 3 natural spawning gang leaders. In the first season that I did, the female frenzy one, the prison that I showed you just before this one, I cheated them in because I wasn't getting any, and I had gangs available right at the start. Now, minimum security, more often than not, will not have any gangs. Medium security occasionally will have gang members, but maximum security will have gang members quite a lot. And as you can see, 65 gang members for the red, 21 for the green, and 18 for the blue. The blue was actually the last one to join. The green, I believe the green was the first to join, and the red was second. But all of them spawned naturally. And we have a takeover that failed apparently. But once I had maximum security built, which was this entire block of land right here, which was the 3rd expansion, I just got a lot of gang members in. So the 3rd expansion was down here, and this was the biggest challenge. Sorry, down here. This was the biggest challenge. I'll talk about that as soon as it gets lighting in, because it's quite hard to see. But the way that everything is shaped was pretty much the reason why this was such a challenge, because the lakes prevented me to make something perfectly symmetrical. That was also one of the reasons why I wanted lakes, because lakes spawn randomly, and while I like my prisons to be symmetrical, I wanted the challenge where I was forced to not make it symmetrical, but still have everything in. So yeah, maximum security up here. I wanted to have everything for maximum security separately, and have everything else pretty much shared, like the classroom and the chapel, and this parole has to be shared for death row, but everything else, all of the security levels have. Early on, the Supermax did not have foundry cells. Now they do, down here. But let me quickly get that back up. It's getting a little lighter, so I can show you Supermax. As you can see, the lake, after I bought the plot of land down here, actually continued down here, and it's still continuing down here. But also, when I bought this plot of land, I was faced with a little bit of lake over here, which actually went further down here. If I would have bought the land down here first, this would have looked a lot different. So I'm actually glad that I bought the plot of land behind on the left first. And I think that this worked out the best in general. So yeah, this part was definitely the most challenging in terms of planning, but I managed to get it done. No, I do not want to buy. And there is the mosquito that I unfortunately didn't get. Dang it. But I think that despite the fact that this place was the biggest challenge in terms of layout, it still looks great and it still functions properly. Super max. So yeah, after maximum security was done, in between episodes at some point I was experimenting with luxurious dormitories, and apparently I still managed to screw up. Not this one, but that one. Because you need 18 squares per prisoner. And I thought 4 prisoners would be 72 squares. And I thought that this size would be 72 squares. I think it is. But apparently it's not big enough. So maybe that's like 1 row more to that side would have been, would have been enough, but oh well. At least I've shown you that dormitories also have a grading and that you can get them to rank 10 and what you need for them. This site also took me 2 hours to plan out that I did off screen, so I pretty much shortened the playthrough with another 2 hours, as we have a lot more death down here. Massive riot, all gang related. Red gang still controls, or now controls, the yard again. And there goes the blue gang leader. Just like, I've got nothing to do with that, not my problem. But yeah, 2 hours of my time spent trying to come up with a proper design for this section. I wanted to have luxurious cells and luxurious dormitories, and showcase that family cells don't have any luxury. And I think I did a good job, but I'll leave that judgment to you. And after 2 hours I discovered that this layout would probably be the best, and that I could easily copy them over all the way down to here and have 4 cell blocks of pure luxury, which led protective custody to be here in a holding cell that originally was supposed to be something else, but for the life of me I cannot remember what it was supposed to be. So it became a holding cell. Power issues, definitely a case here. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 power stations, and in the later stages I was constantly messing around with like, okay, I want this part to be connected over to that one, that part has to be connected over to that one. And I think I managed to get something done, especially now that all of the metal detectors are in, all of the CCTV cameras are in, all of the phone taps, all of the door control systems are in. I managed to get something done, it works, and yeah. All in all, this playthrough of mine, the first stage went by really fast, and it took me way late into the playthrough to realize that this already had become the longest playthrough in terms of how many days in game I went. And well, yeah, it's more than twice as long as the previous season. But I do think I did a lot more. The previous season was all about capacity, so I could get a lot of money in really fast. And I had everything planned out right at the start because it was a single plot of land. Here I was faced with a challenge of, hey, I have a new plot of land that I bought with limited build space. How am I gonna fix this? But all in all, the first stage went by really fast, like I said. Episode 6 we finished the grants, both of them for the workshop, as a lot of people were doing the classes there. Episode 8 we saw the first 2 executions, and better yet, I did them in 3D mode. And the later we went on in the build, the slower things went. People stopped taking the classes or passing the classes. And as you can see, day 172. And the grant for Reform Through Education initiative is still ongoing. I have, if I go into here, 35 people passed foundation education out of the 177 that did. And nobody finished, or nobody passed general education. There was one person doing it. I'm afraid that person is now dead. That may just have been the case. I don't think it's fair how this went. I've seen a playthrough on YouTube quite recently where that particular grant was done within 55 days. I am more than 3 times in a playthrough and I still don't have it. I'm baffled by this. And the thing is, they even nerfed the grant itself, because originally you needed to have 15 prisoners pass foundation education and 5 prisoners pass general education. Nowadays, that has been nerfed to having 10 prisoners pass foundation education and only 1 prisoner pass general education. I think they should make this even easier. That encoding, that they should just allow prisoners to be willing to take it more often and have a higher chance of passing it. Especially with the library introduced. The original idea, and I think it's no longer the case, or it was a little bug that I just happened to have. Originally, the idea was that if a prisoner passes foundation education, the prisoner has a choice. Go for general education, or, if the prisoner wants it, work in the library. However, if a prisoner decided to work in the library, he or she could not go to general education. Well, for some weird reason, I noticed in the first attempt of recording this video that the one doing the general education for a 3rd time, or 4th time even, was actually working in the library as well. That was a massive surprise to me. And here we have yet another brawl in the yard here. Well, look at that. The sniper's just like, are you trying to do something? You better not. That's why I put a sniper close to the yard here. But yeah, this prison is by far the longest day playthrough that I've done. I'm still not done with it yet. I still have 1 bonus video in terms of this particular prison, and before I start the next series in Prison Architect, I also want to bring you back to all of the prisons that I've built for Twitch and YouTube previously, including this one, because in the next series I will be escaping from them, or I might just wait with that video and just do the chaos episode, the bonus episode, right after this one, which will probably be tomorrow because I'm kind of tired. And after that, I'm going to take a break after after I properly close off this prison with a chaos video. I'm going to take a break from Prison Architect because I still have a few episodes to upload, and this will actually go on straight into September. September 1st or 2nd. Probably 2nd. And I've got a week of vacation planned in August. I also have a week of vacation planned in September. So I might actually do the escape mode in that week of vacation in September. I don't know yet. But in terms of actual construction, an actual sandbox playthrough, I'm gonna wait until 2.0 comes out, because they're not gonna be putting in anything new in the actual builds anymore. They will have their test builds, their test branches, as you can see over here. Like, hey, a preview of the work towards 2.0. You can opt in. You need to select that in the Steam. But I didn't want to do that because I still wanted to pretty much just build a different all-women's prison. Because women's prison just bring separate challenges, especially with the mothers, with kids. You need families. You need family cells. That's 2 extra rooms that you need to build, and that's less capacity that you can have. And I just think it was a nice challenge. Overall, this prison was a lot of fun to do, and in such a way that I couldn't stop recording this. I couldn't stop playing this. Where I spent like the first weekend of August, or no, before the first episode went out, I think I already had like 19 episodes recorded. Just think about that. 19 episodes recorded before the first one even went out. And then even beyond that, I was trying to not record it, but I just wanted to finish it. I just wanted to continue. And this, just the small chance that one prisoner would pass general education also kept me going. But just seeing that she would fail again and again, and now she's dead, I've given up on it. Maybe in 2.0 they will have it better coded, but yeah. Last thing that I want to do, and that's something that I know that's gonna happen in 2.0 because I've watched the video. One of the things they've changed beyond some of the looks of this and how it all functions. Work time has always been work free time. Either prisoners work, and if they don't work, which in the cases of the gangs they never work, they have free time, so they can basically go wherever they want. So during work time you'll often see gangs try to take over the yards and the common rooms, you'll often see fights, etc. But gangs simply do not work. In 2.0, what they've promised us is that you have a separate designation for work lockup, where you'll actually see a little green on the right side here for work free time, and another work button over here that has a little gray to the side for lockup. So that means that prisoners that do not work get sent back to their cells. And I myself am extremely happy that they did that, because it's something that's been bothering me for the longest time. I've never really openly complained about it, but I thought it wasn't really fair to see prisoners go out and about and not work while others were. It wasn't really fair. Now that's getting fixed. But I do think that there are plenty of improvements still left. Nothing in terms of this. Nothing else in terms of regime. The work time was the only real problem. Grants, like I said, general education needs to be redone. It doesn't work. It's up to pure luck, RNG, and well, 173 days and still no luck. While others, like I said, 55 days, boom, done. I don't get it. It's not fair. This needs to be fixed. There's one more hidden. Cell block E is the last cell block grant there is. And I don't believe there is another one of the government bailouts. If it exists, show it to us. Or maybe it's a different grant for education. But even if you manage to get it done, I've seen that person get it done, I didn't see any new grants spawn from that. I consider this one more hidden a lie, because the original one more hidden that in the early stages of my prison architect career was government bailout. It was hidden because you needed to have certain requirements. You needed to be 10,000 in bank loan and less than 500 in the bank afterwards, and also a negative daily cash flow with at least 30 prisoners. It was kind of by luck that I found out about this, and ever since I realized how it worked, I could easily manipulate it, and I've done it ever since. But I don't like these hidden grants, because apparently there's nothing more hidden. I've looked on the Steam, I've looked on the forums, nobody knows what this is. This needs to get fixed. Programs, like I said, general education and foundation education need to be reworked, that it's easier to pass, more people are interested in doing it. And maybe even have gangs work. Maybe not take classes or something, or because gangs also don't do the behavioral therapy, pharmaceutical treatment, alcoholics. They don't do that. But maybe just get them to work in the closets, especially now that you have work lockup. That, you know, gang members should work. Gang leaders, of course, shouldn't work. That's simple. And pretty much all else, I have no complaints. Beyond one or two little details. Now for this playthrough, as well as the previous season, what I did was that I had one infirmary. In other playthroughs I've had multiple infirmaries. But the problem with that is that doctors will often choose to go to one specific infirmary and not the other ones. Which, in my previous playthroughs, often led to all of the patients being, let's say that this was an infirmary, all of the patients would be in this infirmary, and there were no doctors there because all of the doctors were in here or in the staff room. What I would love to see is a doctor deployment. And that the doctor deployment works in such a way that the doctors will still leave the infirmary if there's like a case of an overdose or whatnot. But that you could say, I want 3 doctors in this infirmary and 3 doctors in this infirmary. That needs to be done. The same with cooks. Now you will see that cooks will just randomly go to a random kitchen. I would love to see a cook deployment that I want 2 cooks in this kitchen. This one is a bigger one, so I want 5 cooks in there. I want 2 cooks in here. Just 1 cook in there in this kitchen, 1 cook in that kitchen, 1 cook in that kitchen, 1 cook in that kitchen, and 1 or 2 cooks in this kitchen. Instead of like, oh, I see 5 cooks in here. Well, there's no cooks in here, and there's no cooks in here. They could optimize that further. Maybe have something with the food distribution. I don't know. But something could be done, and I feel that something should be done. But beyond that, I feel that the game is pretty complete. There are still, of course, the bugs. I could have had plenty more executions. I've had 11 thus far. But I could have had a lot more. Because the game was suddenly bugged out, saying like, hey, tomorrow you're gonna get a death row inmate. That never came. We have another riot on our hands over here. With another death. Also, what I had in this playthrough and what I see more often, well, mailbags, that's a thing. Mail doesn't get sorted anymore, apparently. But one of the things that I often see is that buses get stuck near the deliveries. And the only way to really alleviate that is to do a cell block search. And then the buses will actually just move on. But that actually stops intake, that stops flow of prisoners, and also the supplies and such, and that just causes way too much problems. So there are still a few bugs that they could fix, but all in all, it feels like a complete game to me. And if they're gonna add more rooms, I'm stoked to see what they are and how they work. Unfortunately, I had another death yesterday because I really wanted to just hit that sell button. Because there's a Steam achievement that I don't have yet for selling a prison for more than $1 million of profit. Given that the bank balance gets added to that, and I see a sell that is not a sell anymore, so let me quickly do this. Bam. And there are still 11 hours left until the visitation rooms can be brought back. Now I'm not gonna save this because I'm gonna bring this back for the bonus episode. Just do some minor changes here and there. But this has been Prison Architect, my all-female prison season 2, Lakeside Ladies. I hope you've enjoyed this as much as I have. And if you did, leave a like on any of the videos. Helps out a great deal. Share the videos, helps out a great deal as well. Would appreciate it if you did that. My name is Hecthor Doomhammer. I am your evil overlord. I thank you for watching. And I will see you next time for the Chaos episode. Bye bye.